Recent economic analysis has highlighted significant concerns about proposed changes to international trade policy, particularly focusing on a speech that has been characterized as fundamentally misunderstanding basic economic principles. The presentation contained numerous questionable claims about international trade relationships and tariff structures that warrant careful examination. The speech's assertions about current international tariff rates contained several significant inaccuracies. For instance, it claimed the European Union imposes a 39% tariff rate on U.S. goods, when the actual weighted average of EU tariffs on U.S. products is merely 1%. Similarly, Japan was accused of having a 46% tariff rate, while the real weighted average of Japanese tariffs on U.S. products stands at just 3%. These discrepancies between claimed and actual figures represent a fundamental misrepresentation of current international trade dynamics. The proposed tariff structure reveals concerning inconsistencies in how different nations would be treated. Turkey serves as a notable example of this inconsistent approach. Despite having relatively high existing tariff rates, Turkey would reportedly receive more favorable treatment with only a 10% rate under the proposed plan. This arbitrary application of tariff rates appears to lack economic justification and instead seems to reflect political considerations rather than sound economic policy. Economic impact assessments of the proposed policies paint a troubling picture. The Aston Business School conducted detailed modeling of the potential consequences of implementing tariffs of 20 to 25% across the board, assuming retaliatory measures from other nations. Their analysis projects devastating economic consequences, a $1 trillion loss to the global economy. For American taxpayers specifically, the impact would be even more severe, with an estimated effective tax burden increase of $6 trillion. The varying tariff rates proposed for different countries demonstrate the plan's inconsistent nature. The European Union would face a 20% tariff rate, while China would be subject to a 34% rate, and other nations would see rates of at least 10%. This disparity in treatment raises questions about the policy's underlying economic logic and its potential to achieve stated objectives. One of the most problematic assertions was the claim that tariffs could effectively replace income taxes while simultaneously promoting economic growth. This fundamentally misunderstands how tariffs function in the global economy. Tariffs are essentially taxes on imported goods, and their costs are typically passed on to domestic consumers and businesses through higher prices. The suggestion that they could serve as a viable replacement for income tax revenue while fostering economic growth contradicts both economic theory and historical evidence. Historical parallels make the potential consequences of such policies particularly concerning. The last time the United States implemented comparably high tariffs was in the 1930s, a policy decision that economists widely recognize as having contributed to the severity of the Great Depression. This historical precedent serves as a stark warning about the potential risks of implementing aggressive tariff policies in today's highly interconnected global economy. The proposed policies could have far-reaching implications for global supply chains and international trade relationships. Modern economies are deeply interconnected, with complex networks of suppliers, manufacturers, and distributors spanning multiple countries. Disrupting these relationships through aggressive tariff policies could lead to significant economic inefficiencies and increased costs throughout the global economic system. The scale of potential economic impact, as indicated by the Aston Business School study, suggests that implementing such policies could have long-lasting negative effects on both the U.S. and global economies. The projected $1.4 trillion loss to the global economy represents a significant portion of global GDP and could lead to reduced economic growth, job losses, and decreased standard of living for citizens worldwide. These proposals represent a significant departure from established economic principles and decades of international trade policy development. The potential for disrupting carefully cultivated international trade relationships, increasing costs for American consumers, and damaging global economic growth makes these proposals particularly concerning for economists and policy analysts studying international trade dynamics.